How's your week going, retro people? My name is Brad, this is Retro Style Spotlight, and this is your news, notes, history, and retro games to play for the week of February 9th, 2016. This week's tutorial on Unbroken Software Studios' YouTube channel was how to emulate the Sega Master System, Genesis, Game Gear, and CD with a little bit of 32X thrown in. Give that a watch if you haven't already, and subscribe to us to see those tutorials every Friday. So, most of us are fairly comfortable with old gaming classics like Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES, and All-Stars or the GBA remake, all of which are fantastic but remain mostly the same, right? Well, Nintendo has done something kind of amazing. During the GBA era, there was an attachment to the GBA called the Nintendo e-reader. What this did was allow you to have bonuses for your games in the forms of cards that you could win or buy. It is very similar to something like DLC today, but without all the online patching. When Super Mario Bros. 3 got re-released on the GBA though, they had e-reader cards for up to 38 more levels. The only way to get these nowadays is to have a GBA, the Nintendo e-reader, and those cards, all of which can get expensive. If you didn't have the cards, fancy stock paper, and a high-quality slow printer, you could achieve the same goal, but that is more time-consuming. Well, not anymore. Super Mario Bros. 3 on the WiiU Virtual Console will have all of those levels added back into the game, so the use of those cards is no longer required. This is pretty amazing and is no small feat on the part of Nintendo. Someone had to go back in and reprogram the game to add a permanent spot for these levels to reside in. The game will be $7.99 when released, and even for the base game is a good price, but now you have the added bonus of 38 largely unplayed levels by the masses. This is a slightly older story, but I just recently found out about it myself, and that is Atari Breakout in Google. It is pretty simple. If you Google image search Atari Breakout, it turns your image search into a Breakout clone. This isn't the first time Google has done something like this. Previous years, they've turned Google Maps into Dragon Quest, Pokemon, and even Pac-Man. Google loves doing random things related to retro video games all the time, and it is kind of awesome. How many of these big companies would do something like this? I think this personally makes Google slightly more unique. You can tell that their developers and their engineers really love retro video games. Now, this is the first time I'm going to have to give users cautionary or negative news, and I don't particularly like it. However, I feel like I need to provide this for our viewers. A few months back, GameStop started selling retro games on their website, and at a decent price. At first, all seemed to go okay. GameStop reported they had trained professional technicians, opening up all the consoles to clean them, testing all of their games that came in, and were doing a stand-up job testing each and every game and every console. Well, at this point in time, there are dozens of stories now of customers who received flat-out fake games. There was one story from a user who purchased Chrono Trigger, only to find the label fake and the game completely wrong inside. He was able to return the game for a full refund, but then the story gets worse. The venue I heard this story from was the Completely Unnecessary podcast, which is done by Pat Contry, better known online as Pat the NES Punk, and Ian Ferguson.
Wow, so remember that video that we discussed a while back of all those people meticulously testing things in that lab and all that? And them talking about changing batteries and testing all the games and making sure they save? Yeah, that's total horseshit. And, I mean, we fucking called that because GameStop has their head up their ass if they really think they can manage to take on... I mean, how many retro systems are they managing right now? Let's just say 6 or 7. If they really think they can take on 6 or 7 more systems than what they've already taken on, and they have a problem with that, that's insane.
Well, it's not just that. Expanding the program nationwide, they don't have the volume and capacity to handle it to begin with.
Right.
Which is what I always said, without hiring 1,000 people.
So GameStop flat out lied to you when they said that they were going to test every game that they got and change every battery. Because if they did, they would have noticed something was wrong. Because even if they opened it and Madden has a battery, they would still have to test to make sure that battery worked.
That's true.
Or
test Chrono Trigger that works.
Right.
The battery.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Either way, they didn't. Either way, I bet you they turned it on and saw the credits come up before it even got to the fucking title screen and turned it off.
They saw a white screen instead of a black screen.
So you're right. They lied about incompetency in testing two things: the proper game and the battery.
Right.
unless they were stupid and tested the battery for the wrong game and didn't realize what they were
Well,
doing.
and we're going to train people to be able to spot test, fakes and repros on the job. No, well, obviously you didn't do
That's
that.
when they failed the third time, because it's looking
Right.
at it, you can tell it's a repro label.
It's a repro label, and then you sent it back to your home office and wherever to get tested, and they still didn't spot it. I mean, this had to have gone through, and I'm being generous here, conservative. This went through minimum 3 hands before it got sent out.
They had a listener write into the podcast after the story went live to say that he too got a fake Chrono Trigger with the same exact game inside, and he too returned the game to GameStop. So what this says is either a person faked a bunch of the same cheap game to make a profit, and GameStop are liars about their trained technicians, or he returned it and they didn't bother to check his claims and resold the same fake game. And honestly, I don't quite know what's worse. I don't have a link per se for the story, but there are news articles popping up now about the same exact subject, and I will post a link to the YouTube channel where clips from the full podcast go up so you guys can hear some of the stories as I did. Either GameStop is way in over their head, or they're bold liars. Or both. There have been, however, some positive stories to come out of this. Some users got good games at a decent price, but the other problem with this program is GameStop doesn't differentiate between sealed, complete in box, or loose copies of the games. So the same game will sell for the same price regardless of condition, and in the retro gaming market, condition is everything. Let's not talk about the Sega Genesis console a customer purchased only to find it completely dirty and soiled inside. So the moral of the story is, if you have a local retro game shop in your area, and they are reputable, because let's be fair, some of these people aren't either, it's not just GameStop, then please give them your business. Steve at P3 Gaming in Newport, Oregon is my go-to retro and used game guy. He treats Christina and myself very well, so no thank you, GameStop. This month, in 1990, Nintendo releases the NES game Super Mario Bros. 3 in North America. It sells a little over 17 million copies, making it one of the best-selling standalone video games of all time. Nowadays, you can purchase the NES original on Virtual Console, the SNES remake, and Super Mario Bros. All-Star on a disc for the Wii, or soon the GBA remake with the extra levels on the WiiU Virtual Console service, which we covered already, unintentionally I might add. Needless to say, the Wii U version will be the definitive version with the extra levels. This week's retro gaming suggestion comes from the LaunchBox Steam group, of which I curate awesome retro games that you can purchase on Steam for a good price. This week's game is Roller Coaster Tycoon Deluxe. Roller Coaster Tycoon Deluxe takes you for a ride in the original Roller Coaster Tycoon and its expansions, corkscrew follies, and loopy landscapes. Create the ultimate theme park using a variety of coaster types and build your way to the top to create the best theme park your mind can come up with. As of this video, Roller Coaster Tycoon is 50% off at $2.99. Steam also has the Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic Collection that has all 3 original games together for 60% off at $9.99. All 3 still work on modern computers and are an absolute blast to play. These are super nostalgic for me personally, so pick these up fast before the Steam sale goes away. That was Retro Style Spotlight, or RSS, for the week of February 9th, 2016. All of the relevant links to everything you heard in this edition of RSS will be in the description below. Remember, you can sign up for a LaunchBox forum account to talk with us over there, join our open Steam group to see what we're all playing, and maybe play a game or two with us there. Jason and I have a lot planned for our community, so if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're doing a tutorial video every Friday and more entertainment type shows like this in the future. Let us know what you think of RSS and any feedback you may have on it. My name is Brad, and remember, Freaks and Geeks, to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.